our big idea for this week is Jesus helps me believe. Let's say that together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Jesus helps me believe. Let's sing our song and worship God together. So we know that our big idea is that Jesus helps me believe. Let's watch our video and see how Jesus helped a man named Thomas believe.
Hey friends, here's a question for you. Have you ever heard news that was so good you could hardly believe it? Maybe it was when your parents said you were going to be a big brother or sister, or when you got a new pet kitten, or when you opened the best birthday present ever. Well, let me tell you about a time when a man named Thomas heard some news that was so great, he couldn't believe it was true.
Say hello, Thomas. Thomas was one of Jesus' close friends, but Thomas sometimes had a hard time believing Jesus was who he said he was. We've been talking about how Jesus died and rose again, so we could be forgiven and be with God forever. The thing is, when Jesus rose from the dead, people didn't know what had happened right away. Some of his friends knew, but not everyone had heard the news yet. After Jesus died, and before they heard the news that Jesus was back, his friends were sad. They had believed that Jesus was going to change the world, but after he died, they weren't so sure anymore. Then suddenly, in the middle of the room, Jesus appeared. Whoa! As you can imagine, everyone was so surprised. They thought Jesus was gone forever. But there he was, right in the middle of them. The disciples were so happy to see him. Fast forward a week, and the disciples were together in the same room. Except this time, Thomas was with them. You remember Thomas, right? Thomas had heard their story about Jesus appearing, but he wasn't sure it was true. After all, if Jesus had died, how could he be there among them? Thomas said that if he was going to believe their story, he'd have to see and touch Jesus for himself. Just as he said this, Jesus appeared just like he did before. He came to Thomas and told him, "Reach out your hand. Stop doubting and believe." When Thomas touched Jesus, he knew it was him. Just like Thomas, Sometimes it can be hard to believe that Jesus is real and alive and that he loves us. But here's the great news. Just like Jesus helped Thomas believe in him, Jesus helps you and me believe in him too.
Last week we learned about the woman going to the tomb and learning that Jesus beat death. Jesus was no longer in the tomb because Jesus was alive. This week we see that the disciples were so excited to see Jesus, but not everyone was there. One of the disciples was missing, Thomas. Thomas didn't believe what his friends were saying. He didn't believe Jesus beat death, so Jesus helped Thomas. Jesus appeared to all the disciples in the same room a second time, and this time Thomas was there with them. And when Thomas saw the marks where Jesus had been nailed to the cross, and when he touched them, he believed. Jesus helped Thomas believe. Jesus loves us so much, Jesus will help us believe too. We learn about the world around us using our senses. Our senses are what our eyes, our ears, our mouth, nose, and hands do. What do we use our eyes for? To see. What do we use our ears for? To hear. What do we use our mouth for? To taste. What do we use our nose for? To smell. What do we use our hands for? To touch. The disciples were able to use their eyes, their ears, their mouths, nose, and hands to know Jesus was there, but Thomas was not there. When Thomas saw Jesus and was able to use his senses to know Jesus was there, he believed. And then Thomas went and told as many people as he could about Jesus. Jesus helped Thomas believe. Always remember that Jesus helps us believe too. Let's say our big idea one more time. Jesus helps us believe. 1, 2, 3. Jesus helps us believe. See you next time, guys. Bye.